Hello everyone and welcome to Fight Night. This is the first of 3 Fight Nights that will be being uploaded today, tomorrow, and on Sunday in a weekend of Fight Night. In this first edition, as we alluded to in our previous part several weeks ago, we will be covering 2 video game swordsmen. I will be covering Kirito from the anime Sword Art Online, and I would like to specifically say that this is the Kirito of only the SAO arc, not the Gun Gale and Alfheim arcs afterwards. And Rio is here with me once again.
Hello, I'm Rio, and I will be arguing for Link, specifically the Link present at the adult Link from the end of Ocarina of Time. Essentially, assuming you did like a 100% inventory speedrun of Legend of Zelda, the Link that walks into Ganon's castle to defeat Ganon is the one I will be using.
Yeah. Alright, what's with the typing?
I just realized you probably have all your Wikia pages and research up, and I realized I still have to find them in my giant folder of bookmarks.
That's lovely, Rio. So in the meantime, I suppose that leaves me with the opening statements.
It does.
Alright, so Kazuto Kirigaya, or Kirito as he is known to the online world, is one of the greatest video gamers on pretty much on the planet, probably. And he has shown extreme, and just to underline it further, extreme skill with video games, specifically Sword Art Online. Within Sword Art Online, he is a master swordsman in both one-handed swords and using dual blades. He is a master of parrying, hiding, and searching. He is extremely good at battle healing, sprinting, martial arts, and blade throwing. And, as I mentioned previously, he has access to the dual blade skill, and there's something very special about the dual blade skill. See, with the dual blades, only one player in SAO is given that skill. And that is the player that has the highest agility and reflexes. Now, there were thousands upon thousands.
10,000 players.
Yes, 10,000 players playing Sword Art Online. And Kirito was the most agile, the most reactive, all that nonsense. So yes, he has got all of that. And additionally, speaking further to his, agility and whatnot, he has, in the future, he would go on to literally slice bullets out of the air fired from high-velocity rifles. He has access to the Black Rim coat, which is one of the most powerful coats in the game, some would argue, made by a player named Ashley, and it is literally made out of dragons. He has the Dark Repulsor, which is a very powerful one-handed straight sword, which is also player-made, and the Elucidator, a one-handed straight sword, from the 50th floor boss drop, which is, again, one of the more powerful bosses in SAO, and it is implied to be a rare drop. Furthermore, he has this might not come up in this fight, but he has an HP number of 18,500, which I'm not sure what the real life comparison on that would be, but I think it's safe to say that Kirito would be extremely durable.
I think that's less durable and more like endurance. Like, a blow that would kill a normal person probably won't kill him.
Yeah. So that's durability you're thinking of.
No, because durability would be if you stab him, the sword would just ricochet off. But if you stab him, the sword would go through him. It just wouldn't kill him.
Oh, okay. And then, additionally, at one point, he was attacked by many, many combatants who were all attacking him simultaneously, and he just stood there and took it because their attacks were doing damage that he was healing faster than he actually took damage from these people.
The,
And
what I thought of is the scene in SAO Abridged where they're doing that, and Kirito just snaps and goes, "My wounds heal faster than you can make them."
yeah, which is true. But so his wounds have been shown to heal faster than people can make them. But I think it would be safe to say that Link could make a lasting wound. But if Kirito could manage to get away for just maybe a couple minutes with his perfect hiding skill, I think it would be safe to say that he could conceivably heal back up to full. Additionally, now this isn't it's not an official skill technically. However, he can oh right. So he has shown to be so powerful and just so badass that he overcame the rules of the game, which, you might be like, well, whatever, it's just a video game. See, the difference is that would be like overcoming the laws of physics themselves.
Yeah, but the only reason he could do that is probably because it was a video game.
Well, but still, that is akin to overcoming the laws of physics.
And it was like an online
ex-
server. His brain was plugged into a server.
Yeah,
I think.
it's
So
not
in this
like
battle,
he was exploiting a glitch or something, but
yeah, but I'm saying in this battle that probably won't come up because it's sort of a real world approximation of Kirito's online avatar.
yeah,
Like they're not fighting in
they're not fighting
Sword Art Online servers, so I don't think he could do that.
Yeah,
in this
but
fight.
I still think it's important to note that because that sort of shows how powerful of a person he is.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's oh right, so additionally, he has the ability to destroy a weapon by attacking the weak point of a weapon.
Yeah, however, with the weapon
With
that
the Master Sword
that's
Link
kind of
wields, this may be
irrelevant
difficult
because
to
it's
do.
literally made from gods, but
Not made
made by gods to be indestructible. Word of God says Master Sword is unbreakable. So,
Yeah. All right, so that about wraps it up for my what you call it? So it's
opening statements. Okay, so Link is a talented swordsman owed partially to just training he has over the course of his adventure in Ocarina of Time, and owing partially to the Triforce of Courage. Now, the Triforce of Courage, some people in Zelda fandom will tell you, is the lamest Triforce because it doesn't seem to give Link any powers, whereas the Triforce of Wisdom gives Zelda precognition and gives Ganon, like, pyrokinesis and the ability to transform from Ganondorf into Ganon. This is actually false. The Triforce of Courage gives Link a form of intuitive aptitude and a sort of battle sense, which is represented in Ocarina of Time as the GUI. So Link has
GUI. What does that stand for? I know what UI is.
graphic user
graphic.
interface.
Okay.
Like how when you look at an enemy, like when Link looks at an enemy in the game.
I wasn't sure what the G stood for.
When Link looks at an enemy in the game, it's like the Triforce of Courage allows him to see how many hits it would take to kill his enemy, how many hits it would take the enemy to kill him,
Indeed.
etc. What weapons he can switch to easily, what weapons he has a bit harder time getting, all that.
Yeah.
In addition, this is also why Link's able to immediately pick... This power, in a more active application, allows Link to immediately pick up any weapon and understand it perfectly and how to use it at essentially the level of a master. With anything, it might take him 5 to 10 minutes of training. So if Link managed to get his hands on one of Kirito's swords, like disarm him in some way, he would not have any trouble with like the weight or the, speed of the sword or anything, because the Triforce of Courage magically adjusts his knowledge and fighting style to fit whatever weapon he's holding at the time. Moving on to the weapons he uses. Link has a variety of swords. However, right now I will only talk about the two swords that will probably be of use. The first is the Master Sword, which, as I previously jokingly described it, is a sword made from gods. The Master Sword was forged by the three goddesses of Hyrule, who essentially made the entire Legend of Zelda universe from scratch in the lore. which essentially makes it completely indestructible. And if someone has darkness in their heart, such as Ganon or, you know, Ganon's various demon servants, it will have a sort of repulsing effect on them because it is the Blade of Evil's Bane. Um, and I think we could both agree that Kirito does have some darkness in his heart, especially given how much he angst over having killed those three people in the Gun Gale Online arc. Would you agree that Kirito has some darkness in his heart?
Wait, hold on. I'm sorry. I completely spaced. So what
Okay.
is this about darkness in the heart, and what does it do?
So, the Master Sword is the Blade of Evil's Bane. It has enchantments on it that make it indestructible, and if you have darkness in your heart, it will have like a bit of a repelling effect on you. Like, you know, sort of.
Some things just fell. Ignore that.
So would you agree with me that Kirito has some darkness in his heart?
I mean, doesn't everyone?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So the Master Sword.
Doesn't Link?
No, Link doesn't. That's why he's the only one who can wield the Master Sword.
Okay.
Um,
I'm just saying, Link has done some dark shit.
okay. And then the other sword that's of use is if the Master Sword for some reason fails or is separated from Link's hand, he can pull out the Bigoron sword, which is a sword that, while not having the enchantments to be indestructible, so it would succumb to Kirito's weak point eye thing, um, it does much more damage to a person than the Master Sword does. Um, and
I
so
imagine it's
that
like slower to swing or something.
Um, yeah, a little bit. But that's sort of his secondary sword if the Master Sword's ever separated from him. He uses a wide variety of arrows and bombs. For a bow, to fire his arrows, he uses the fairy bow, which is just sort of a bow with some enchantments to make it more durable. And he can use his own personal reservoirs of magic to enchant his bows with fire so that they explode upon contact, ice so that they freeze whatever they get stuck in, or light, which essentially just gives them both more penetrating power and the same sort of enchantment as the Master Sword for people who have evil or darkness in their hearts. Um, he can use the boomerang, which is just a boomerang. There's nothing really special about it, except with the Triforce of Courage and the intuitive aptitude that comes with it. He essentially has perfect aim with his boomerang. Um, he has the long shot, which is a spring-loaded trigger-pulled hook attached to a extremely long chain, so he could use that to pull Kirito towards him if Kirito started getting too far away. And he carries with him as well a large supply of Deku Nuts, which essentially are flashbangs, just in plant form, and bombs, which are just self-explanatory.
They
They're
do. They
bombs
do
he
have
throws.
rather small blast radius, though.
Yeah, they're bombs. He throws them, they explode. Okay.
They're effectively grenades, just really big grenades, but they still only have the blast radius of a grenade.
He carries with him the mirror shield, which can reflect light and energy-based attacks and is nearly indestructible. And he has been trained by Zelda while she was under the disguise of Sheik and by the Great Fairies in the ways of magic. The three spells he's normally seen using are Din's Fire, which unleashes fiery hell in all directions. So if Kirito is getting a bit too close for Link's taste, he could cast this and essentially create an explosion that would force Kirito to either retreat or just get his ass lit up. Pharaoh's Wind allows Link to teleport to a place he has marked. So if he was able to touch Kirito and then consciously use Pharaoh's Wind, he could teleport to him at any point. And then Naryu's Love creates sort of a force field around him for a minute or two that is impervious to all damage. Now, for armor and boots, because Link's primary things are in his inventory, so sorry if I'm going too long in the equipment, but that's literally all Link has.
Yeah.
Literally his superpower is just making him better with his inventory.
His superpower is infinite backpack.
No, yeah. Well, his actual canon superpower is making him better with his inventory. So Link's essentially just a guy with perfect knowledge of an inventory. So, he's for boots. He can switch out his armor and boots pretty much instantly. So he carries with him three pairs of boots. The first are the Kokiri boots, which are just standard boots. Just leather boots, nothing too special about them. And then there are the hover boots, which allow Link to, you know, they don't allow him to fly per se, but like if he got
Like
knocked
a
off
foot
a
off the
cliff,
ground.
no, if he got like knocked off a cliff, he wouldn't fall if he was wearing the hover boots. Is the way to think about them.
It basically allows him to pick a level and then never sink below that.
Yeah, and then the iron boots make Link basically immovable because of their immense weight. Link can barely move when he has them on, but there aren't really a lot of enemies in Legend of Zelda that can move you if you have the iron boots on. So we could assume similar things could apply to Kirito. And then for tunics, he has the Kokiri tunic, which is a thick leather tunic that enhances Link's durability because of its thickness. The Goron tunic, which makes him essentially fireproof and more resistant to explosions. And then the Zora tunic, which allows him to breathe underwater. Again, similar to the boots, he can switch these out virtually at will, though it does take him maybe a second to do. And then for sort of miscellaneous items, he wears the golden gauntlets, which allow him to support massive force, though they don't necessarily increase the striking power. So if he combined the mirror shield, the golden gauntlets, and the iron boots and just sort of hid behind a shield, there'd literally be nothing Kirito could do to hurt him. Because the three of those combined, Kirito could not put out enough force to damage Link if he went into that formation. In addition, because of the golden gauntlets and the just literally immense amount of force the golden gauntlets can withstand, like we're talking dozens of tons range, which is not any amount of force Kirito can put out. It would be virtually impossible for Kirito to disarm Link.
Well, that's... See, the way I imagine the gauntlets working, it's like, if you extend... It's like, you can support more force with your arm extended than you can if it's sort of, like, a little bit lax.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? If you, like, lock your elbows, you know?
Yeah.
That's what I imagine it as.
Yeah.
Not as something that would make you hold on to things better.
Okay. Well, the other thing is, if Kirito disarmed him of the Master Sword, he couldn't wield it anyway. Because Link...
I'm just saying, but then he could play keep away with the sword.
Yeah. I mean, if he disarmed the Bigoron sword from Link, he could pick it up and use it. But, the Master Sword to Kirito is essentially just a stick. A shiny purple stick.
But it is a shiny purple stick that he can keep away from Link.
Yes. To Link, it's much more than a shiny purple stick. And then, while I highly doubt, given the fast-paced style that Kirito uses in battle and just the immense foot speed and physical speed that Kirito's SAO avatar possesses, Link does have the Ocarina of Time, which essentially allows him to manipulate his environment via different songs he has memorized. Though the amount of time it takes to play one of these songs, he would probably get skewered after the first, note and a half.
Well, if Kirito ever had to skip off to, heal, then Link could do that.
Yeah, then Link could use the Ocarina of Time. And then, that's the essential depth of all the things that Link can use. How many of those do you think I'm going to actually use? Because I am honestly, at this moment, realizing I forgot what I just said.
Some of them, I don't know.
Okay.
Anyway, so I think that Kirito would win based on the fact that his speed and just the sheer amount of offensive pressure he could apply, Link would be physically incapable of blocking all of those attacks. And Kirito would get a shot in, and ultimately, one of Link's strongest armors is just leather, and Kirito's blades have been shown to do extreme damage even against heavily armored opponents, such as one Heathcliff.
Yes. However, the thing you are forgetting is that Link does have good reflexes, and
See, the thing is,
the
Link,
mirror shield is large enough that if he crouches, he can hide his entire body beneath it. And then, as I mentioned, if he uses the golden gauntlets and iron boots in tandem with the mirror shield, there's literally nothing Kirito could do to hurt him at that stage because he
well, yeah,
doesn't.
but then Kirito could just stand there waiting for him to drop his defense while Kirito's health rapidly goes up and Link's does not.
Okay, that's a valid point. I personally believe that as much because of the golden gauntlets, iron boots, and mirror shield combined, I think as much offensive pressure as Kirito brings, Link brings just as much defensive pressure.
Yes, but the difference between those two is that Kirito can Kirito can apply all of this offensive pressure while still being able to dodge and parry and defend himself, whereas the only thing Link can do with all of those is defend himself.
Yeah. It does. Just remind me really quick off the top of my head because I'm not deeply knowledgeable in Sword Art Online. Does Sword Art Online have a magical resistance stat?
Yes.
Okay, what is Kirito's magical resistance stat?
It does not. It doesn't outwardly say there is a magical resistance stat, but it is heavily implied that there exists one.
Okay. Because I don't think...
If this helps, in Elfheim Online, he has 800 mana.
Okay. It doesn't.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, given the omnidirectional nature and just the range of Din's fire, I don't think Kirito has any sort of counter to that other than get burned and hope he doesn't get burned bad enough that he can't
I think
heal
Kirito
from
just
it.
has enough sheer bulk to shrug off a couple of Din's fires.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Though
Because, I mean...
Din's fire can neutralize Kirito's offensive pressure because, say Kirito goes in for a strike, because Link can activate Din's fire literally instantly, like it's just a thought.
Mm-hmm.
And so if Kirito tries to go in for a sword swing and Link activates Din's fire, Kirito's only option while that Din's fire is still raging is to retreat. And Link can do that a few times.
He has the option to just follow through with the swing.
Yeah, and get burned bad enough that he might... Like, Din's fire...
I already mentioned that Kirito has ridiculous amounts of bulk.
Yes, but what I'm saying is, I also think that Link could tank one hit from Kirito. Probably several hits from Kirito's sword.
I don't think so. I already mentioned to you that Kirito's swords can deal extreme damage to armored opponents, and you said pretty much Link's toughest garment was a couple of layers of leather.
Enchanted leather.
Still just leather.
Yes, but Kirito's coat is just leather.
Actually, no, it is dragon skin.
Okay, so it's leather that has special properties, is what you're saying. It's
No.
leather that has special properties because it was made from dragons.
See, the difference is Link has cow leather.
Yes, but it is magical cow leather. Things I never thought I would say. It is magical cow leather.
See, but for one thing, in your opening statements, you did not mention that it was magical. And
Pretty sure it's
what
magical.
specifically is it enchanted to do?
I think just sustain more.
Okay. Well, from my experience playing Zelda games, Link will go down to very few sword blows. And that is from swords that are, made of iron.
Yeah.
But this is a sword that is, almost God's sword, but it isn't actually Excalibur.
Yeah.
And there are two of them.
Yes. Well, Link also has God Sword.
Yes, but the difference is Kirito has the speed to dodge or deflect God's sword.
Okay.
You could make an argument for God's sword breaking Euclidator or Darker Pulsar, but I think if Link managed to break either one, Kirito would then focus on dodging as opposed to blocking, except only with one sword at that point.
Yeah. Well, Kirito's good with one sword, too, is the problem with that.
He does have maxed one sword.
Yeah.
Still, I'm just saying it would be easier for Link if Kirito only had one sword.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is Link would have to break both of his swords for that to be,
Yeah, and Kirito
like,
wouldn't let that happen.
yeah. The
So,
second Link broke the one sword, Kirito would just start dodging and Link wouldn't be able to break the second sword. And Kirito, with one sword, is pretty much just as good as Kirito with two swords.
yeah.
Because the different styles he uses, in my mind, are pretty equal.
Yeah.
Um,
And then I didn't even get into the blade throw and just keep whipping blades at him.
oh yeah, I didn't even mention Link's arrows. Does Kirito have a express check other than cutting them out of the air, which for the fire arrow would probably make it worse for Link's arrows?
Kirito is fast enough to dodge them, or two, to just get close enough to Link before he could draw back the bowstring.
So, are you saying that the thing that Kirito brings that sort of ends this fight is speed?
Ultimately, yes.
I would have to agree with that statement.
I think it's still reasonably close. Like 65 out of 100 fights, Kirito wins.
Yeah, I might have to agree with you on that.
Yeah. Well, would you say it's more like 55, 65, or 75?
I would say like 60.
Yeah.
All
right.
So
So
yeah.
yes, this has been the first in this weekend of Fight Night. I've been Jake.
I've been Rio, and join us next time for a fight between two vigilantes of the night.
Indeed. So thank you all for watching. Bye now.